Ready for my close-up.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. It's a brand new day. Now prepare to experience the most outrageous man on radio.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Science!
This is insane.
Good morning! Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
And away we go. Thank you for coming along for the ride. Happy Easter Sunday to you all. And yes, we have a bunny there. Instead of, I guess I could have had Mott the Hooples roll away the stone. Right? I wonder if anybody ever used to think about that. Roll away the stone. Won't you roll away the stone? I guess you gotta, dig a little deeper. Anyway, here I am. It's 4:49 a.m. The cat came downstairs on his own 4 legs, which is good. I gave him a steroid, though, around 12:30 at midnight, and I don't know if that's the motivation. So 4 hours, it may still be. They say it takes 1 or 2 hours to kick in. So I would imagine it would at least have a couple hours, activeness. But yesterday was his 5th day, I believe, on steroids. 5th or 6th. I'm not, on steroids, yeah. But I mean on an antibiotic from the vet. And it wasn't, the past 2 days he wasn't the greatest. It wasn't eating food. I just put out some fresh food for him. But when it's the one day. I hadn't seen a bug in the kitchen in over a week. I know that disgusts people.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And I left this fresh food on the floor, and I fear what may happen. I guess I'm due to do some spraying or something. It rained all last night. Nothing seemed to have made it down to the second floor. Though I noticed that the hinges to the front room bedroom, when I pushed open that door, the top hinges just were rotted out. So I'm thinking water might have gotten down in through the door frame. So that's another thing. I was just thinking about how this is a flow of consciousness as usual. I was just thinking how every day, yesterday I turned on the light in the bathroom and it didn't work. How every day there's some little thing. When you have this 100-year-old house, I fixed that. It was just the bulb. But just coincidentally worked the night before. Didn't burn out. It just didn't work that morning. And and there's some other things, all these weird things. And I made sure I tightened without breaking the glass thing, because that's the exact kind of thing that crashed in the kitchen and spread glass all over the cover, the light fixture cover. Was the one that fell. I had one of those exact same models, and this is above the shower. That's the last place in the world I want to have glass, up in my bathroom and bedroom where you walk around in your bare feet. But anyway, Oh, no. Yeah, it would be tragic. Let's look at the
Weekend weather!
And see what the heck's going on. Just out of curiosity, is this rain ever going to stop? 20% chance of, guess precipitation. It seems to have stopped for the moment. I'm sure I'm going to get a couple buckets of water when I go up there after the show will have filled up overnight. But tomorrow's 100% chance of rain, and Tuesday it's 70%. That's around these parts. That's as good as saying it's going to rain. 39 degrees for the today, 45 degrees for the high. Tomorrow, 39 degrees for the high. Tuesday, 39 degrees for the high. Wednesday, it finally gets up to 52, but the overnight's still in the 40s. Overnight for tonight is 34, tomorrow 34, and Tuesday 30. So it's basically frost. And right now, it's allegedly 36 degrees, so there's basically frost out there. The two plants that I did plant, I have covered with burlap, but it rained all night. So, and it's above freezing, so I doubt, unless I go out there and it's after the show and it's filled with ice. My coffee tastes really weird today. Like, I don't know, just not right. It's the bottom of the can. I've tried to put a little vanilla in it, pure vanilla extract. I do this sometimes in the coffee filter, so that it's, I'm not putting it directly in my coffee. But it didn't really help to add. I actually would put some, if I had some kind of thing to put in there I'd put it in there, but I have nothing. I might go buy myself some Kona coffee today. I might take a walk to the store. But it's Easter, and I'm not even sure if the grocery store is open. I don't know. It's different. I recall, what their hours might be. Whenever I want to do something, it's always, All right, well, here we are. Like I said, I guess it's a good thing that the cat has come down on his own. Hopefully he'll use a litter box. I put out some baby food for him. I guess someone said that's a thing, because it's pure and supposedly natural and stuff, but who knows what they're feeding kids. So I'm doing the show. I don't know, he wants something. I mean, maybe, So if he uses a litter box, maybe eat some of that food. There's plenty of food upstairs I've had for him. Oh. But I'm going to have to change that out because it was fresh 2 days ago. But I mean, it's crunchy food, hard stuff. But I guess, sitting in the air, exposed as opposed to fresh out of the bag. He just didn't eat anything at all yesterday. That's the thing. As far as I could tell. So he's got to eat. And I have a pill that supposedly helps him with appetite. They're putting these like pill pocket things, like it's a treat. The first day he just gobbled it down like, wow, this is great. But he must have figured out that something was in it, and now he won't touch them. I'm already tormenting him twice a day by having to use that shot to shoot in the antibiotic or whatever into his mouth, which is a traumatic experience. Anyway, I know we said this before, but
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Brilliant!
Anyway, yeah, that's me. I caught a little clip, one of those JRE clips, Joe Rogan, something. Is it JRE clips? I don't know. But anyway, he was wearing a wig, like a full weird thing, like he had to get up like I had. I swear he watches this show to get his ideas. I still say his opening logo was stolen from a guy way back in the early days of the internet. One of the first YouTube guys who came out and was doing a show kind of like mine, but the guy was sitting at a desk like in a lit up living room with a little credenza behind him, and you could see there was a cigar, like a humidor there or something like that. And he was just saying it like it is. This is like, this is, the beginning, or a really long time ago, before Rogan hit. Rogan may have had a show at that time, but if he did, it was just starting and he had no intro. I remember Joe Rogan's intro. It wasn't that spinning head, thing. Well, anyway, this guy had that was the first guy I saw who actually had an intro graphic. Now, when I was used to do my produce shows a while back, that's why I do live, because it takes the 2 hours to produce, and then to spread the link to a few social media sites. But I was producing my show, as I mentioned before, it was like a 6-hour production. I mean, because, excuse me. I mean, I had some stock intros, but then I had some video clips I would put up, like they were off the wall things, like, things from Plan 9 from outer space, cuts, and it was fun. And then, of course, all my audio, crazy audio stuff.
This is a nightmare. Must be a nightmare.
And, and then I would get into this, but then when I would talk about that, I would have, like on the standard television, a thing, the graphic pop up. And all that had to be done in a program, an editing program. So it took you, if it was a 2-hour show, it took you 2 hours to voice the show, or whatever. And then it took you another hour to like edit it, at least, depending. It could take longer. And then the program I was using, I was using iMovie, I guess, at the time, or something, one of those, a Mac program. And it was exporting. The file itself had to be exported as an MP4. So, I couldn't just use the movie file or something. YouTube wasn't accepting it, or YouTube would be converting it. It would take forever. So I had to have it make the MP4, and that would take like an hour or something. And then I'd have to upload it, and even though I had a fast upload connection here, I have high-speed internet, it would take like an hour or more to upload it to YouTube. It's like YouTube has it choked, the upload choked. And so you're talking, 6 hours sometimes, worst case scenario, sometimes less, to produce a show. Well, think of your day. It's your day. And that's not when I was getting up like it. It's 5 a.m. right now, on the 17th of March, Easter 2022. But, so, I had like 2 hours, out of an 8-hour day. It was like a job. And I'm not monetized, and wasn't monetized then either. So, think about that. And the thing is, the view count, I was one of the first guys who was demonetized. I was like never monetized. Like that's a long story. I did an episode on it last year that explains the problem Google had with me. I had a better search engine than they did, basically. And they blackballed me. And it's so long ago. This goes back to the days, their infancy, their beginning, when they were still trying to become a presence, before Yahoo, faded away, and, all these other things. And I had come up with something that was more 21st century, because I feel that Google search no longer is a viable search engine. I mean, A, it's pay to play, the first page, the top of the page. B, the way the algorithms work, they favor whatever they feel like favoring. C, for some reason, they allow these sites that you go to, the answers rarely on the first page, unless you're looking for something so specific that it's kind of questionable why you would search for it in the first place. In other words, if you search for the obvious, you'll find the obvious. That's about the only thing Google's good for. It's like Wikipedia. I mean, you might as well just have a bookshelf with a a version of Encyclopedia Britannica or Funkin' Wagnalls or good dictionary, good big fat dictionary that with a thesaurus and and a lot of world facts and atlases and stuff like that in it. Oh man, a hot burnt went right to my throat for some reason. Whew, that'll freak out the cat if he's still down here. He gets worried about me. I get worried about him too. All right, so but yeah, talking about that stuff. So I started with, so I watched this JRE clip because he was talking about, because the talk of the day is the Elon Musk thing. And I'm not, this isn't that kind of show, but just to cover this, to show you how these JRE clips and how they use, basically, teases, what's the word they use? I just haven't woken up yet. Well, anyway, the title of the show said something like Elon Musk and free speech and something like that, right? And so I go, okay, let's see what the JRE thing was. What was Elon Musk on there again, or what was it? Anyway, they were dressed like medieval characters. Joe Rogan had a full head wig on, but it was clearly a woman's wig. It was really weird, and the room was dark. I had no idea what they were doing. I had to stop it for a second and look at the date because it almost looked like it would be a Halloween video, right? The guy who was talking to had a hood on. I have no idea. I don't watch these shows regularly enough to see what kind of game they were into, and I didn't know who that guest guy was. But Rogan basically in this thing, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, and you could watch it for yourself. And I don't highly recommend it. But I mean, if you doubt me, the conversation between the two of them was basically anti-free speech. And you think Rogan of all people, because he was basically trying to say, well, where do you draw the line? And he was trying to say, well, all of these people, it's like 4chan, or like these people will come out. So there has to be some kind of regulation. It's like Joe Rogan, between that apology he made and his excuses and stuff, his wife must have sat him down and said, you better like straighten up, buddy, and keep this flow of cash coming in, or you're out the door and I'll sue you for everything you got. And that's the way I see Joe Rogan now, right? He's like in lockstep, I'll go with the program. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Right? You understand, that is free speech. I mean, he quoted Musk's idea, which is another paraphrase here I'm giving, because like I say, I'm not going to memorize these people's words. The effect of that free speech is the idea of someone you disapprove of or don't like, and I said this yesterday, having the freedom to say something that you dislike or disagree with. Someone you disagree with having the right to say, to speak something that you disagree with or you disapprove of, or blah, blah, blah. You get the point. Now, Rogan had enough sense to say that in the beginning, and I thought, okay, that's why I kept watching. I'll watch this. It was just a clip anyway. It wasn't the whole show. But then he started going, well, but where does it end? And it's like, who's talking about that? Free speech is free speech. Joe Rogan, you don't understand the early internet. I've been on the internet for 35 years. And when the internet was totally free, it was totally free, and it was a great place. And if you happened upon something, right, that, wasn't your cup of tea, so to speak, well, you didn't watch it. You didn't stay there. There was just channels. tried to say that yesterday. The internet has made it channels. It wasn't meant to be dominated by Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and a handful of people. You see, in other words, there should be the Joe Rogan channel. Well, what the heck is it doing on Spotify, right? You see? And, there's these people, and there's a lot of them that have tried to do that, go independent and stuff, and they failed because everyone is like bought into this idea of somehow the network concept, this old-fashioned 20th century idea, early TV, right? Radio, Comcasts, and Clear Channel's destruction of media, right? That's why I don't mind having no views, nobody watching half the time. I don't care. This is my channel. If you come upon it, you come upon it. I have a website, ROCKFLUX.com. And I use these various platforms. I'm on Rumble, I'm on other sites. I don't have the time to keep up with all these various newfangled things. I'm using YouTube because of the live feature that works in tandem with this open source OBS program that I use. So I could put up these graphics and do this thing. And I'll tell you what, this particular program has the ability to do, has its own recording studio mode and all that kind of stuff. So, they want to yank me off of here. I'll do this from my own website. I have such small amount of views. I'll just make a video. You go to my website and I'll serve. I have my own server. I just paid my quarterly bill on it. And I live at the poverty line and I don't make a buck and nobody's bought a shirt or anything. They're out there telling you daily that the power grid's going down, and I'm telling you, but you don't listen to me and don't listen to anybody else. I'm offering you, these alternatives, right? There's this weird glow that, like, I want to have the back somewhat lit up, but there's like an American flag, if you look way in the corner, it's like kind of shows me the wind. Do you see how I touch this and like see up in the upper corner up there? You see that? And I don't know, I want it to light my background, but I don't want it to distort the view up there. It's going to be sunrise within the hour anyway. Excuse me. Excuse me. So, yeah, so it was disappointing. It was the way he said it, and they're stoned half the time anyway. That's the other thing about that Rogan show, is that, he's not thinking straight. But he was trying to say, there has to be some kind of thing, you can't just allow freedom of speech, be like total freedom of speech. You would have all these crazies, all over the place. So what? So what? Musk made it clear. As long as you didn't break any law, right? What does it matter? Freedom of speech is affording people who you dislike or disagree with to, give their, rants about things that you dislike and disagree with. Watch it. See, that's why I'm up now, because I said this. My show's frozen and may go off the air. This stream. What did I said something against the algorithm. Freedom of speech is not permitted. I'm broadcasting at 0 kilobytes per second, so I don't even think you could hear my voice. If you can hear my voice, fast forward, through this thing. I'll try to continue this, but this show, what's going on? YouTube is not receiving enough video. There's no reason. It's like Sunday morning. Nobody's even on the internet. People are sleeping in. Kids are up looking for an Easter basket or something. Like, what the? What are you doing? See, I had that one view, and so that was the... YouTube is not receiving enough data for the stream. Ensure your sending stream that is configured. Yeah, right. What's the widget that you open? Come on. They're like squeezing me out. It's starting to go up. Hopefully you stuck along with me. All right. My kilobytes per second just shot up to like 6,000 kilobytes per second. It says it's not receiving enough video. My computer's compensating by trying to call their bluff. Anyway, I'm going to continue with this, all right? Because I'm like shooting up a signal that's twice necessary. The amount is necessary. 30 frames per second. What I was trying to get at, and I'm going to try to continue this as long as possible, is that freedom of speech is freedom of speech, and the idea of this old-fashioned 20th century network concept is ridiculous. If you don't like what somebody says, don't watch it. What is so crazy about that, and why did YouTube just go through this thing to try to knock me off the air and ruin my video? Which will, who knows what they do when this gets edited back, like they do internally, algorithmically edit it. And so it'll probably be either a jump, or you'll just see me frozen for whatever a length of time that was, 4 or 5 minutes. So yeah, so Rogan's like talking like this thing as if, basically what he was saying was that the internet shouldn't be allowed, and there should just be one. Now it says excellent connection. The internet shouldn't be free, and all of these mainstream media outlets are the same way. The internet shouldn't be free, because why else would you see what I mean? They're admitting their disapproval of freedom of speech, because why else would you care? See, they want to control the flow of information. That's the idea. So they don't want wrong speak. They want one singular voice that speaks for the corporatocracy, right? And that means, like I always say on this program, right? Because they're all marionettes of the corporatocracy, and you're a marionette of the marionettes, right? The media and politicians. That's the world we live in. Two insignificant things, by the way. When I grew up, the media and politicians were like very insignificant in most people's lives. I knew most people's lives in general. It just wasn't like a big deal. You had people, talking about sports and stuff like that. You had people into various, music was really big. Concerts and music and getting records and then CDs and, right? And stuff like that. But the whole idea of like the news media and politics was like no one cared. They used to interview some people on the street in certain neighborhoods. Who's the president of the United States? Or who are you going to vote for in the next election? And the person would say, the regular guy. No, I mean, who are you going to vote for? What candidate? The regular one. The regular one. I'm serious. That's still stuck in my mind. Watching them go, man on the street type interviews in like in cities and stuff, and people saying stuff like that. But in general, people didn't care. I didn't care either. I didn't vote. I voted when I first got, the right to vote, when I was old enough to vote and stuff like that. I voted in the first election because it's like, okay, wow, I got a right to vote now. I'm going to vote. But then once I saw the hypocrisy of the whole thing, because it's always been this way, then I didn't never bother voted. And I don't complain about politicians in that way. So like, people can't use the argument, well, if you'd vote, maybe. Voting doesn't make a difference, right? If you understand the system, the whole idea of gerrymandering, like, ask that to the guy on the street, girl on the street. In other words, elections have always been rigged. Congress changes the districts when they get in office. It's called gerrymandering, right? People advertise and media is involved in things. They spew out lies. There's dirty campaigns, right? The whole concept of Watergate, they made a big stink out about. Look what happened in 2016. There was far worse things than Watergate. Hell, the FBI was involved in election tampering. I mean, think about that. People within the FBI were involved in election tampering. And Nixon basically, that whole bozo operation of some guys trying to find out what the other campaign was up to or something. I mean, that was a whole ridiculous gag. And then the idea of, he lied about it. And he had a foul mouth. What the heck? People just don't get it. So I looked at it back then and I go, you know what? This whole system's just too screwy. The corporatocracy is going to do what the corporatocracy is going to do. And this idea, so back to when they started cutting me off, to see if they cut me off again, is that, look, if somebody wants to say a thing, let them say a thing. And what I was trying to say is, I'll take this show, put it on ROCKFLUX.com, and if one or two people want to come and watch it, they could watch it. Right? And over the course of the year, that turns into hundreds of people get exposure to some kind of thing, archives I have. That's fine. And I'll still be on Rumble and these other places. And, so what? So those 500 shows are saved for posterity or until the whole, grid goes down. See, that's the other thing they're talking about now. They're trying to scare people. And it's really weird, that Russia has this tech. They're saying Russia, China, and Iran, right? But the funny thing is they found the stuff in Ukraine that basically has this capability. And I've been trying to explain this for the longest time. Not only does Ukraine have bioweapons labs that the U.S. has been involved with, but that the Ukraine, right, is the number one exporter of, spam, trolls, election interference, and computer extortion from companies and of people, and all sorts of viruses and all kinds of internet shenanigans. All right? It's always been Ukraine. I told you my firsthand story where I had an attack and I had tracked it down. I tracked it down to Ukraine, right to a building. Right? When I used to be a master at that kind of thing. And so there's like the Cyrillic and then different things, and they say, well, see, this is Russian. Yeah, because that was part of the Soviet Union, and there's a lot of Russian, people in Ukraine, but it's Ukraine that's the area. People don't understand it. I'm not justifying anything for any. I'm just trying to say, don't elevate one group, one country over another when you see some foreign war or some conflict or some craziness going on. And you don't know the socioeconomic geopolitics, and don't pretend you do. Because I'll tell you what, more than half the bureaucrats in Washington don't know. Right? These so-called analysts, they don't know the full story. And when they talk about, top secret stuff and things are compartmentalized, right? Things happening on different floors, people privy to certain things, this, that, the other, companies, company, CIA, not sharing information with other agencies or the White House, right? They do what they want to do, and the world is not, everything is wrong. And that's why you should buy that shirt and wear it and make that statement. Instead of being like some childish kid with a cardboard sign on a stick and going, right? Just wear a shirt or a hoodie. It says everything you know is wrong. Or like I say, you don't know what you don't know what you don't know. So like I say, it's a backwards mirror. I never know where to look. And then the answer to all protesters and idiots on the street, then what? Right? People saying, we need to do this. Like, I'm sorry, Elon Musk, too. He's disappointed me, too. Because he has unrealistic ideas about the power grid. Right? Okay, you're going to create all these cars. You make all this money. You sell all these electric cars. Then what? How are you going to charge your batteries? Well, more windmills and more solar. And I'm not against nuclear. You're not going to build like all these nuclear plants within the next 6 years. Like I said, they say they want this by 2030. Okay? It's 2022. All right? That means by 2030 is the end of 2029. Okay? So that's like 7 years, less than 7 years away. Right? Basically. But you want this stuff you say you want this by, that's the words they use, by 2030. They want to have all, elimination of fossil fuels, all this electric cars and blah, blah, blah. Outlaw this, outlaw that. Well, then that gives you about 6 years. Because obviously you have 5, it could even be 5 years, 5 to 6 years, because you would have to actually have these things rolling off of assembly lines and have these things hoisted in the air, tested, right, and functioning so they're ready to go online by the end of 2029, right? Was it going to be like we'll flip a switch on New Year's Eve, like the ball dropping from Times Square? You see what I mean? You're being fed a lie. And for somebody like Elon Musk, I mean, to not be aware of that CO2 and water vapor are trace gases, and that's like the sun controls the climate of the earth. And to not understand the condition of the grid system. And how are you going to do this? Like I say, in gated communities, they could put on those Tesla roofs, houses that look back at the title card from about 2 shows ago. I'd love to have it too. But you got to be realistic. You know, in a country of 100,000 households or whatever, who knows how many homes, forget about how many buildings, right? And 330 million plus people growing by like a couple of million a year now because they're just letting anybody who wants to come in could just come in. They don't care, right? Unskilled, uneducated, doesn't matter. Come on in, right? They're prioritizing the Social Security and welfare system for people who are not, for non-American born people. But that's the latest too that's come out of Washington. It's like, what the? Do you see what I mean? What the? Like, what's really going on? So, I don't really care. I honestly mean that. Because I did care. I tried. I did my best. I wrote 10 books. I wrote 50 songs. I did 500 consecutive videos nearly, and thousands others, broadcasts, webcasts, all kinds of things. Written all these essays. I participated in things in New York, LA, Washington, Philly, all around the country, all around the world. I tried my best. I spent a lifetime, all right, doing these things. And you may say, well, lifetime, you don't look that old. I'm older than you think. I'm an old man. I don't care. Who knows it? I'm not trying to, find a wife. I've been married and divorced. All right? I've done all these things. And nobody cares. That's the conclusion. Nobody cares. There's some people who cares. There's 0 viewers of my website. Google has me throttled and banned, shadow banned. All right? There's, at this moment in time, 5:30 a.m., with 2 billion active users on YouTube. Remember, the operative word is active users. 2 billion active users. At least half of those users are active right now. So at least 1 billion active users. So I say this all the time. You're telling me not one person, out of curiosity, sees the bunny and goes, I wonder what that's about. Right? Out of 1 billion people. Do you understand? Did you ever have a course in probability and statistics? You have the slightest understanding, right, of odds? You probably buy a lottery ticket, right? A rub-off or something like that. Well, the chances aren't 1 in 1 billion of you winning. It's in the 1 in the millions, okay? So the point is, just by all the basic laws of probability and statistics, the odds are that there should be I should be looking at my analytics, which I'm looking at. You can't see it. And I should be seeing numbers popping up, like people come in. And people will come in and they'll look at my face and go like, I don't know that's not what I thought it was, right? They thought somebody'd be hippity hoppity dancing around, cartoony thing or something. But I'm not getting that. I'm not getting a curiosity seeker. I'm not getting somebody coming in for a fraction of a second going, oh, I don't want that. Do you see what I mean? And some of my classic, I have without a doubt. I mean, let's look back at the 500 title cards I've made. All right. Let's do that now to show you, this whole idea. I'm going to put up a new window. I don't know how this works because it doesn't make sense that it should work, but I'm on YouTube twice now. Okay. So let's go. It's pretending that the morning show's live here because it's me. Okay, but let's go to my videos. And this is taking my CPU up, but I don't care. All right. Now, for those of you who don't understand this, when you go to my videos, you see these are a lot of videos, old videos, but a lot of these are like my vlogs, the earlier days. These are the ones when I actually was into production. on things. There's a lot of garden videos, a lot of weird stuff there. But my live videos, which have taken over the past year and a half, it's showing this page. This is 30 per page, and it says 1 of 30 of about 539. I find it humorous that it says about 539. But just on this, in live videos alone, I've done 539. Okay? So let's see if we can go to playlist, dashboard. No. Let's go to my channel. Let's just try to go to the videotape. See, it's hard for you to view your own stuff to do this thing I want to do. What I have to do is go back to the beginning. I have to get rid of this. Okay. So let's go to ROCKFLUX. All right. Now, again, I'm coming up only because this is me. But let's look at some of these title cards. They're fairly large here. Right? And also you can notice the numbers on these things. Look at these title cards. Now, I don't know what that stuff is because that has nothing to do with it. See, then they're trying to say for you. So let's go to ROCKFLUX. Now let's go to videos. All right. Now, hopefully you have a TV because these are videos. Now, first thing they do here, which is really weird, is they have yesterday's video comes in before this. Okay, which is interesting. All right, but look at these title cards. And there's the title card of Elon Musk's house. You know, the idea of, not his personal house, but I mean the idea of that's a solar roof that looks like a normal roof with with his energy, power wall and the electric car. The average person can't afford that kind of stuff. But take a look at these titles. The cards. Crazy stuff. I mean, people don't go through details like this. But if you'll see the views, like 11 views on this, 5 views, 3 views. Whenever you see 3 views, that basically means 1 view. Because 2 of those. But look at this. Do you see people producing such a wide variety of title cards, that deal with such details? I had my live St. Patrick's show. Look at this stuff. Right? I mean, everything from, this is a month ago. Here's a picture of a Ukraine, Odessa Beach in Ukraine in the 1920s, colorized. Right? 5 views. The steeplechase guy, 5 views. Some horror movie, but basically a provocative thing with the girl, there. 4 views. Look at this stuff. Things about healthy food. Some people put this stuff about ancient stuff, Sumerian. I got 17 views because I've got a picture of like some Sumerian thing. 17. Other people would have 17,000 for that. Right? If this weren't, basically being hidden. Do you understand the diversity? Look at the diversity of these things. I'm not saying every one of these is fantastic, but look at the diversity. So you're saying that there wouldn't even be curiosity seekers? Look at them all. That greed meter one, man, how cool that looks. There's me wearing a dashiki. 8 views. Around, Christmas time, we had the Santa Claus in front of front of my house covered with snow. Agitprop, 7 views. Scene from 2010, the movie. A beautiful woman with perfect skin with a Christmassy hat on, 4 views. Diana Rigg from, the original Avengers TV show, 7 views. Me wearing a VR set, 7 views or 6 views. Look at this stuff. I mean, nobody has these kinds of things, Jackie O, 7 views. You think people wouldn't be curious about that? If that weren't hidden? Look at this stuff. People just do not have these kinds of things. Right? Emperor's New Clothes, 7 views. Look at this stuff. Me with a suntan up there in the upper left-hand corner. 8 views. My washer and dryer got 13 views. It's one of the highest viewed videos. Everyday life. You see what I mean? This is crazy. And it's endless because there's over 500, it says about 539, as if the algorithm can't copy this. Now you're telling me, how does this make sense? The diversity, just what you're looking at right now. These are so interesting. So interesting. It's like they max me out. You see, there's a couple every now and then get 13 views. It's like they refuse to allow more than 13 people to view it, that they cap it at that. Look at this. This is my channel. Abe Lincoln without a beard got 5 views. Right? The picture of Rod Serling on there. Mulder, 8 views. Look at this. AI, talking about AI, which has been topical now. 11 months ago, I basically was dealing with that. And part of that was included in my book. This one cracks me up the most. This one here, these beautiful girls, right? 1 view, which means no views because that 1 view would have been me. Here's a year ago, Bunnies on the Moon. I guess that would have been my last Easter show. Look at this. This is art. I was thinking, I could put these some of these in a gallery. I even just for the heck of it, put the old, did an illustration of this guy because anybody else who puts breaking news related to that seems to instantly get thousands of views. I got 6 views. So you telling me they're not messing with me? There's Rob Tattoo. Back in San Diego. I was in that tiny room. That room he was working in. And there's some of these, like this one here, where I have the radio receiver, that originally that had like twice as many views. Oh, and apparently this one, these are shows that I was doing. These were before live. So apparently a picture of me shaving in the morning with an electric razor got 17 views. It actually broke the glass ceiling of 13. 18 views here for Truth and Beauty, a little bit of skin, always, but the most I could get is that. Then I even had tried some of these like quickie things, whatever they were calling those shorts. And I did get like 21 views on that. That was a high one. But there were other ones that were ranked at like 33 views. And then weeks later, there's a video of a chipmunk, taking a peanut from me, bunny rabbit in my backyard, my garden. Sometimes you used to be able to roll over these things and then you would click them. Anyway, I'm just going to get out of that. But here you can see. So we've got one viewer. Welcome. All of these ridiculous cards, 539 shows in just one listing. And then there was that other listing when you first go there. And I get one view, and it's probably somebody I know. And if it isn't, it's a curiosity seeker. Welcome to the show. Chime in if I know you. If I don't know you, don't chime in. Don't be afraid. Anyway, the point of the matter is, it all boils down to, excuse me, I can't talk. 5:45 a.m. in the mid-Atlantic states. And we're back into, we're almost a month into spring, and we're going back to what they call a cold snap. So the nights are going to be around in the mid-Atlantic states, no less. Not the Northeast, just the mid-Atlantic. The nights are going to be frost for the next like four days or so. April showers bring May flowers. Well, that's impossible. Because I saw there were actually buds on my apple trees and stuff. And if they get frosted and frozen, it'll ruin the crop. And people are still out there, including Elon Musk, pushing this, these trace gases as if they're like significant. I just really wish, somebody would for once say, look, the atmosphere's 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 0.9% argon. That means 99.9% of the Earth's atmosphere is nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. The sun controls the climate on the planet, which is obvious. And water vapor and CO2 are trace gases. And CO2 is so small that it's 0.004% of the atmosphere. And it's basically plant food. Now, imagine selling people, such a extraordinary, absurd lie. Well, because it's lies of omission. They left out the other part that 99.9% of the atmosphere is not that. They just say, oh, it's above level. Well, anyway, back to the grid. Impossible. There's no way within 5 years, because to reach their 2030 goals, you would have to have all your power generation stations, your new factories and everything operational and constructed and built, and you would be putting the finishing touches and preparing and testing the assembly lines and stuff to push out all this stuff within 6 years tops to meet your 2030 goal. So why are they telling people this and making people believe this is even a possibility? And what about, and no one still identified the heat and cold. How do you deal? It's 36 degrees outside right now. How are you going to heat my house? If you shut off the gas, right? Most houses aren't, in other words, what they're saying is, here's the deal, what they're saying. Okay, with free speech, they're saying is there is no free speech and we're not going to allow it. So that's it. Forget it. So if you think you got free speech is outlawed. Okay, that's done. Then they're saying, okay, half the people in this country, you're going to either freeze to death or you're going to die of a heat stroke within the next 6 to 7, 8 years tops. And you say, what? Well, if I'm an old man in a 100-some-year-old house that has gas heat, how are you going to convert this to electric? What about the neighbor and the next door neighbor and the next door neighbor? As far as I know, as far as the eye can see, in this entire neighborhood, these are all gas homes, gas furnaces. Now times that by, thousands and thousands and thousands of small towns, boroughs, right? Townships, right? I mean, it's one thing in New York City or Philadelphia where you got high-rise apartment buildings and stuff like that with the HVAC systems and what have you. All right? They're already running on off the grid, power grid for heat and air conditioning because half the windows don't open in some of those places, especially the skyscrapers. It's circulated air. But most people who have a house, they have like a gas furnace. People aren't wealthy in this country. This is the thing is, we have a better standard of living than most what they call underdeveloped countries. I mean, obviously the standard of living for most Americans is better than that, than most people living in India, Southeast Asia, or South America. But then again, America is only 4% of the world population. We have 330 million some odd people in this country, but we're nothing, 5% tops. 95% of this world, the people populating this planet, which is close to 8 billion people now, 95% of those people are not U.S. citizens. It's another one of those lies of omission. They just don't bother telling people. People have this assumption as if this is, it's like the Mercator projection map. They think Canada, Alaska, and Greenland and Russia are these giant countries or states or whatever. But they're not. They're tiny. Let's just look at that again because, this out of all the things, this is like one of the, let's go to Mercator projection map. And we'll find that, see if we can find the one that's really telling. Yeah, this one here. Wait. Oh, man, don't tell me that they actually... I use this thing, and they're actually messing with this. Okay, clear map. What the... I can't believe it. We use this. Here, let's try this one. See if we can find. Okay, at least there's one remains. All right, I want you to look at this very closely. I've shown this before. Now, all right. So if you see the continent of Africa, let me come down. I got to get Greenland in there. You see how Greenland, anything in light blue is a projection, is not real. Dark blue is the actual size. So look at the continent of Africa, all right? Because of its location, it has to do with this was created for latitude, longitude, proper navigation, and things like that. Look at Alaska. You see the light blue? People think Alaska is this giant thing. Alaska is the dark blue. Look at Canada. People think, wow, Canada's huge. No, it's not. Canada is basically roughly around the size of the U.S., and most of this upper portion of Canada is like pretty much, useless, uninhabitable. But Greenland is the funniest one. So Greenland looks like it's bigger than Africa, right? But no, it's not. Greenland is like the size of, maybe the, west little portion of the western U.S. Look at Europe, these countries in Europe. They're not nearly as big. Look at Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Look at that. Look how tiny they are. And Russia, everybody's afraid of Russia because they think it's this big blue, light blue thing. Look at the real size of Russia. Okay? This is the Mercator projection map versus the true size of countries. This is fact. They don't teach you this in school. Even the U.S. is not as big as you think. Not only are we like only 4 to 5% of the world population, but our country is not even as big as you think it is. Right? I mean, we're not that. The country of the United States is probably the size of Brazil. If you like kind of squeezed it, if it was moldable like clay. Right? But Greenland's the funniest. People talk about Greenland ice melt and blah, blah, blah. It's just tiny frickin' thing. Russia. Well, Russia's not that big. I mean, it's big. It's a little bit bigger than the U.S., but not much. If you really, again, imagine these were made out of some kind of moldable material, right? If you look at the continent of Africa, you could put the U.S. here, right? You could fit all of Europe completely over here. And heck, you could probably fit China. You could definitely fit India and the Middle East down there. See, these... Hey, Trey, how you doing? Glad to see you. So these are the things that people don't, really grasp. And that's why I'm saying everything you know is wrong, or you don't know what you don't know. And not you. I mean people out there. And they don't teach this stuff in school. So people watch the news and they just think whatever. So the idea is they're going to create their military, contractor wars for war profiteering, whoever you vote for or not. There is no freedom of speech anymore, and there never will be, right? This whole concept of them trying to tell you that Greenland's going to melt and do this stuff is like they don't bother telling you that Greenland's, the size of, the real size of not that much bigger than Alaska, which is really much smaller than you think. Greenland's the size of, I don't know, the Western United States. You see? So people for the longest time have wondered why I push this. Everything you know is wrong and you don't know what you don't know. And then what? Meaning, because people make these ridiculous claims like we're going to have all electric cars by 2030. Then what? What are you going to do? How are you going to power them? The grid's already falling apart. How are you going to do this? Who is going to do the work? We're living in a time of such absurdity and lies and insanity, man. It is like beyond belief. Like, in other words, everything you see on it, everything you know is wrong. And I started with Rogan talking about, oh, what if you can't have everybody just, saying whatever they want to. There's got to be some kind of censorship and whatever. It's as if free speech is an issue or a problem. When the internet came out in the 90s, there was everything and everything was on there. Once people started creating their little channels, that's what people used to call it. Websites were like channels. That's the way we all looked at it. I had one of the first websites, an early website. It was my channel. And we were moving into a new dynamic, right? It was a paradigm shift in the way communications, information was disseminated to the public, right? And then mainstream media and the corporatocracy and government said, oh, no, we can't have that. That's too free and open. So we have to control it somehow. And we have to keep the network system, the cable and network system alive. And we have to force people within these certain platforms like Facebook, Twitter. See, that's another thing where Elon Musk is out of his frickin' mind. What does he even want Twitter for? As far as I'm concerned, why is anybody even on Twitter? I was on Twitter. I got caught up with the bug for a while. But, it's the same as quitting cigarettes. I quit. Let it go. It was an addiction, right? That's why I say these shows are getting old too, because, it's just routine. It's something to do because I still get up early. But at 6 o'clock, I've been starting to get up a little bit later. So hopefully this trend will continue. And when that trend eventually continues, these things aren't going to be happening. Because it's the same old shit. It's the same old shit all the time, right? They're resurrecting this, the plague too this fall. And then you've got these people like saying there's food shortages and all this kind of stuff. So it's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I know people are probably already starting to overbuy. So the shelves will become empty like the toilet paper thing. There wasn't a shortage of toilet paper. It's just that people bought too much. Like I said, that psycho lady next door, the one who has rats in her yards, I work every day at trying to, play whack-a-mole. I mean, I practically have closed just about every hole possible. It's at least one thing. I'm getting so close to having that whole place. If I could get myself about 10 bags I need about 10 bags of cement to do what I want to. Actually, I need a pallet. I get see if I can get a pallet of cement here and get a wheelbarrow and a hoe. So I could just pour a bag in, hose it with water, use the hoe, mix it up, and then dump it against the fence. Dig down 4 to 6 inches, dump it in. In other words, put basically a walkway, like a sidewalk against that fence, against the neighbor. So there's no way, because I don't need to have anything against that fence, and I'll just put potted plants there or something if I wanted to. I don't care. But I mean, the psychos. I don't know why I even brought up that. Oh, she, in her garage, she was a hoarder. And I had seen that she had something like 25, 50 packs of paper towels. But she must have had 100 in a corner. Her garage was filled like a car. She had a 2-car garage. And one of the car spaces was completely filled with toilet paper and paper towels and that kind of stuff. I glimpsed that one time when I was mowing my lawn and passing by, getting back into my garage. And the funny thing I laughed about that is, and I don't know if you know this or not, and I've said this before on shows, but the thing about toilet paper and paper towels is the process of making them, because it's just basically it's paper that's compressed and, it's pulp that's, goes through this processing. But the thing is, because it's so thin, it tends to dry out, like become brittle. And so someone who would be hoarding toilet paper, you may as well you not, because a leaf would be a better way to wipe your, because, rather than something that's just going to fall apart in your hand because it's rotted piece of paper. In other words, you're better off use newspapers or something. Just a weird thing people don't think about. Hoarding is a stupid, idiotic act. Everyone should have a pantry and everyone should have a garden. And if you have an apartment, make sure you got a window that it's at least south facing or near south facing. That gets maybe a minimum of 6 hours of light a day. And if you own the place, if it's a condo or, or not, figure a way, put a Walmart table out and a bunch of planters and plant yourself herbs and some veggies and stuff like that, and just make that area a grow area. And you can make a funky room. And if it's your dining room, so what? Put some round, funky table in there and just let that place be some green and let hanging plants and hanging stuff. You could do it. I did it. It doesn't matter where you are. I actually, it's outside now, a couple of my plants. But I said this before, I grew kale, which is one of the healthiest foods to put into salad and stuff. I grew kale indoors. I started it in January and grew it and put it in my salads by end of February. And now it's planted in the ground outside and it's doing great. Kale could withstand this cold weather because that's just how it is. It's a cool weather crop. The same with lettuce and radishes. I grew radishes and ate those radishes already. All right, that I grew in the middle of winter with just a LED grow light that would run on, even in a grid down situation, on one of these things. Because you see that on-air light up there? That's been powered by this jackery behind the Easter Bunny. And it's still at 99%. And I put that on every day. LEDs, that's what I try to say about energy, how people are so out of whack. They have no idea what Energy Star appliances and the computers and how our stuff runs. They're also low wattage, right? And it's like why people aren't buying these, going to Great Solar stuff and getting themselves one of those power backup things, whatever is in their, whatever they can afford within their category. Some of them are a couple of $100. You could spend $1,000 or $2,000 and run your frickin' refrigerator from one. And get a crappy little foldable solar panel, It's like what a lot of people don't realize is that it doesn't have to be intense sun to charge a thing, or trickle charge, what they call it. So you use a thing and then, when you're not using it, you trickle charge it. And it may take a couple of days if you're a poor person or you're broke or you're on a budget. Live within your means. Figure it out. Don't say, oh, I can't do that because I can't afford it. No. It's like the story I told yesterday, the Grecian urn. You put a pebble in, a little bit of water in the bottom of the urn. You put a pebble, the bird put a pebble in, and then another pebble and another pebble until the water level rose. Then that bird was able to drink and live. All the other birds died because they stuck their beak in and they couldn't reach the water. But the bird that was smart enough to say, I'm going to put a pebble in and then another pebble, find another pebble, and raise the water level, won. Lived, Anyway, so yeah, a lot of these stories are just becoming repetitive. I realize that. And so, and I don't want to be a doom and gloomer, but, you know, with 40,000 people a week dying of preventable diseases, mostly caused by processed type foods, right? The stuff that they actually do have on the shelves in the supermarkets, right? A couple of thousand murders a week and all kinds of crimes, ridiculous crimes, most of which go unsolved. Gangs running rampant, people coming in the country by the millions now, you know. I mean, what do you think? Smash and grab, opportunistic looting, all this stuff being like legalized in some states. People going into places stealing up to $800 or $900 worth of stuff out of a store. The stores eventually close in that area. So the people in that area don't even, and they don't have a car, so they no longer could buy, they call them convenience stores because it's a neighborhood store where you can get a thing you need, right? Speaking of toilet paper, a person now no longer can buy toilet paper in their neighborhood. So what, they have to go to Amazon? Half the time you can't buy certain things like that online, right? I always found that fascinating. During the hard times, you couldn't get, they would say, you couldn't get like hand sanitizer, Lysol, toilet paper, and stuff like that. You couldn't buy it online either. So, that's where we're heading. It's a Mad Max dystopian world, but the thing is, the bright spot in it or whatever is that you can survive if you use your brain right now. Make sure you've got a normal pantry. If you have a yard, grow a garden. If you've got a window that gets sun, start preparing a place to grow some fresh food. And don't get these MREs and these survivalist prepper type of things. Just get the food you normally eat. And if you have kids, get mac and cheese and comfort foods and stuff like that. Fruit in a can. Jell-O, the stuff you don't have to refrigerate. Pudding, the stuff that you don't have to refrigerate. Things so kids have stuff, and they're calm and they're living and you have stuff. And that's what I'm saying, why I think you should grow stuff, so you have some healthy foods in your diet as well. So you could grow some lettuce and kale or chard, things like that. They grow pretty easy. And a couple of herbs, and you'll be able to make a soup even if you just have a balcony and you have a little hibachi stove. It's not about cooking hot dogs and hamburgers, things that you need to have in a refrigerator. It's about making a soup, and you could make a soup from scratch. Remember, you could use the boxes, cut up strips. I think I might, what I'm going to eventually do with this show. I mean, and I'm heading towards it as the weather changes because I have a lot of it in the garden, and I'll just have to take the tripod out there and just put it on me doing it. Some of these simplistic things. But it's like, take a scissors, get a decent scissors, one of these titanium type of scissors, and take or a box cutter, but watch yourself. Don't cut yourself. Be responsible when you use these things. But cut boxes that you order stuff. Everybody's getting boxes. You order stuff and you just get this giant box. I ordered some stuff the other day, and this box was like, it's a big box. Well, your average box that you order some food in probably has enough energy in it, in that cardboard, that if you cut that into strips like so big, right, that would fit in the bottom of a hibachi or a grill instead of worrying about buying charcoal, right? That box would be enough to boil the water or to cook your soup, make your, and have a little tea kettle or, coffee pot, right? On top, and then make some mac and cheese or spaghetti. You see what I mean? There's ways of surviving and thriving is what I'm saying. In other words, eating the stuff you normally eat. If you want to have your morning coffee, so what? You put a few pieces of an old Amazon or box in there and heat up your coffee. Right? Get some instant coffee. It's quicker. Right? You make sacrifices to survive and thrive. Right? But the point of the matter is those that use their brain will be the people that get through this thing. Those that don't, it's like, they're going to freak out. And they're going to be the ones trying to break into your house or apartment or whatever the heck you want to call it. You see the lights in the corner there? Anyway, it looks like the sun's rising. And I don't know. What's the temperature out here in my area? It's dropped down to 34 degrees. High today is going to be 45. Overnight 34 again. Can't believe it. I just can't believe it. I can't believe that I've been saying this year after year. And I have to I have to write it in my planner book here. So today's the 17th, Friday. Saturday rained. Sunday, Easter. What did I say? Let's see, I'll put 34 night, 45 high. Overnight lows in 30s. And I've been keeping records like this for years. In my little book. And if I compare this book, which I get like 2 years out of a book like this, because it's a record book of when I plant, what the temperatures were, when the last frost was, things like that, whether it snowed, rained, cold, or whatever. And if I go back and look at the records that they publish online, like Weather Channel, that kind of stuff, and I don't care who it is, AccuWeather, Weather Underground, all these places, right? They change their numbers. They're determined to make people think that there is such a thing as this climate crisis and that this 2030. What? So they could sell electric cars? I mean, that's going to be a very interesting time. I hope I live to that. I hope I stay healthy, because it's going to be very interesting to see these expressions on people's face. That's why I'm saying everybody should get the Then What shirt now. And let people look at that with the puzzled face. Like, what's that? Then what? What's the you don't know what you don't know? Everything you know is wrong. Like I say, because it's going to be game over is going to be the clincher. Though I think I might make that shirt Be Nice too. Because in the meantime, because that's the way it's got to be. Just be nice. Right? The heck with these people. Angry, hatred, divisiveness, political, all that stuff. Screw that. Just be nice. Be nice. Take care of yourself and the people you know. That's what my attitude. But there's going to be a lot of these weird, puzzled, faces, in the coming years as people realize that well, we can't, who's going to be the one to come out and say the emperor's not wearing any clothes? Right? Who's the one's going to, somebody's going to have to come out and speak the truth. See, right now it's just all talk, right? Nobody, the energy secretary is Buttigieg or whatever the heck his name is. Is he the energy guy? I think he is. If he's not, he's somebody on the thing. And they come out and it's like, yeah, we have to do this and renewables and we have to have that. And even Elon Musk is talking about the sustainability and this is important. And I'm like, man, it's a carbon-based planet. All right? The Earth's going to be here after us. And Elon Musk, I'm so tired of seeing these video clips. I don't watch them, but they're on the screen. They come on my recommended list. Elon Musk warns about AI, and the reason his whole justification for his little implants is like, we have to be part of AI, otherwise AI will destroy us like in the Terminator or something. Let me tell you something about AI. Watch my videos. We're AI. And AI is like nothing. AI is a computer. Computers are stupid. Computers are machines. All right? Computers are run on power. See, that was the whole idea of the Matrix. Because the humans, I guess the concept was in the original, the humans had figured they would destroy the atmosphere so the machines couldn't. The machines were running on solar power. So humans tried to get rid of solar power, so the machines fought back and decided to use humans as batteries, right? And that's basically it, something along those lines. But the idea is that the machines, that's not how AI thinks. And if you read Codex, when I was talking with an AI, GPT-3, that was another thing on that Rogan clip I watched. His guest was going, well, there's like AI and it's like GPT-2 or it's 3. I don't know what it is, some kind of thing. Like they talk about this stuff, but they don't know. They didn't investigate it, right? It's like, no, I investigated it. I actually had a conversation, with an AI to write my book. I went, I did what an investigative journalist or an author would do. You immerse yourself in the topic, right? I had to learn about the hard problem of consciousness to write that book. And the whole thing was still a flow of consciousness, which I thought was really just added a whole new dimension to it, right? A book about consciousness, AI, and then it was like a flow of consciousness of my own life and, biographical. And that's why I decided when I wrote Then What to just go total flow of consciousness, more or less. And that's what these shows pretty much are now, right? But the idea is these people don't know what they're talking about, man. And everything they know is wrong, more or less. Like they have little nuggets of information that they glean from somewhere. But it's like the media is full of, it's either outright lies or it's lies of omission. They don't tell people that the U.S. is less than 5% of the world population, that the U.S. isn't as big as it is, that Russia's not big, that Greenland's this tiny little country. If you could call it a country. Alaska is not some great big giant frontier up there, right? It's small. Canada's like not nearly as big as it is. Russia is half the size, if not less than half the size of what people think it is. And then and half of that is frozen tundra. Everything is wrong, basically. So take care of yourself. That's the answer. You got to take care of yourself. Look out for yourself and start planning now, because people are freaks. People are fucking idiots. They are going to hoard food like they hoarded toilet paper. And the problem with that is we need that food, you and I. So it's time for you, every time you go to the grocery store, get a couple extra canned goods. But buy the stuff that you like. Don't get into the survivalist prepper, those loonies, because they're loons. Meals ready to eat. I don't want that stuff. Okay? I want to eat what I normally eat, you know, and get some stuff that's decently healthy. So get a can of artichokes or something like that in water, you know? You know what I mean? Look at the expiration dates on the stuff you buy. You know, make sure you get stuff that has dates that are, you know, out there, 23 and 24. Don't buy something that expires this August, right? You're putting it in your pantry. The average person's kitchen cabinets can hold enough food for 6 months, believe it or not. You know, you'd be surprised. And pasta, spaghetti, just good old-fashioned spaghetti. Forget the word pasta even. You know, they have these half boxes of spaghetti you could get now, right? And they bubble around $1. Used to be 88 cents on sale, but now they're up to like $1.29 because we're in hyperinflation with everything. But if they, you know, when you see those things, if they go down to $1 or if they're around that $1, you know, stock up on them. You should have a whole, you know, if you have a cabinet, you know, in your kitchen, right? One of your cabinets, you should have the whole top shelf of that cabinet just stuffed with those half boxes of spaghetti. That stuff will last for years. And like I say, you could cook it on a hibachi on your frickin' porch or your, you know, heated by an Amazon box cut into strips. You know what I mean? It's not what you think, you know, or you could take your backpack out, you know, with a little a portable hibachi or not, you know, whatever, or not even, and just go somewhere with a pot, you know, a little coffee pot or something, a thing of pasta, a little tiny can of sauce, right? And go out hiking and just dig yourself a little hole, throw in some twigs and something like that and heat up some coffee, tea, right? And spaghetti, boil some water, throw some spaghetti in it, and sit there and have yourself a dinner or lunch or something like that. Yeah, I mean, if you had to. I mean, if you were in that kind of survival. If you couldn't do it if you didn't have a balcony or a backyard where you could just use your grill. What I'm saying is you don't have to if the fit hits the shan, big fucking deal. Get yourself one of these things. You know, whatever the frick it is. You know, one of these jackery things, for crying out loud. You know? Just show you this. I'm so frustrated because people are like just not aware that for such a minimal amount of money, like, you know, these solar lights, I have these in my backyard, man. These things are great. And you know what? They don't need direct sunlight. They just need light to work. These motion lights, they're great. And, you know, here's the jackery thing that I have behind me, which you could hardly see because it's, you know, light. Here's a NOAA radio that can charge things. It's got a little solar panel. It's a solar panel on there, but it also could crank charge, emergency charge something. You get some cheap ass, you know, I don't know what these things run. Let's see. $300. Everything's expensive right now. Well, here's one for $179. I would get the cheapest ones. You could probably get a solar panel for under $100. I got one, you know, you just want to be able to trickle charge. Yeah, I would get this. It's under $200. If if items like this come on sale, I'd get one of those. Right? And then I'll click on this one. This is like, you know, this is a decent one, you know, because it's got, you know, 300 watts. That's a fairly decent amount for $300. You're basically paying about $1 a watt right now. But it's like, I would get this stuff while you can, because, you know, this stuff's going to sell out. And, you know, if you're going to get it, buy it through my Great Solar stuff. I make a commission of about $1. Yeah, listen to my music on Spotify. I make about half a cent, you know. I'm not monetized. I say that every day. I don't think people believe it. People think that this thing back here is real. That's a set. It's object dart, as I say. But the point of the matter is, we could survive. The intelligent people will survive. If you use your brain, you could survive and thrive. Whereas these other people are going to be like, paranoid. Right? Eating crappy food, meals ready to eat, MREs. God. There are so many foods that you can get, that are tasty and you can live on. And it is so easy to plant a seed. They're still selling seeds right now, because I bought some at these Dollar Trees, Dollar Generals and stuff, where you could get like seed packs 4 for $1 still, or it's $1.25. Everything's $1.25 now at the Dollar Tree. All right. But you get 3 or 4 packs of seeds for like $1.25. Put aside some money and buy yourself some lettuce, and some healthy, easy stuff, and some herbs and things you use. So you always have some fresh stuff, and get the rest canned, and pastas and stuff. So if you make a pasta, spaghetti, you could throw some fresh oregano in it and parsley, right? And the things you want to get is, get some olive oil and, so you have some, things like that. And certain oils will last, if they're pure oils. And avoid the vegetable oils. You want extra virgin olive oil first, cold pressed, that type of stuff. Look out for that kind of thing. Can't get the first cold press, just make sure it's extra virgin olive oil, and it comes from like Italy. It's not like it doesn't list 7 different countries on it, including like Tunisia and weird places like that. Because we don't know what their standards are. We don't know what they're putting in there, right? You've got to know your source of food. Excuse me. That's why you don't want you want to avoid processed food.
Really funny. Really funny.
Yeah, we're real juvenile here. If you belch or something, that these guys always tend to laugh, right?
Okay.
Anyway, so it's just another day, another blog, another vlog, whatever. Happy Easter. Hope your Passover was nice, right? Enjoy your candy today. I'm not eating sweets. I'm trying to get to this point where I've been good for 4 months, more or less. Though I've had some ice cream and things like that. And it hasn't bothered me lately. So I think I'm getting to the point where I've built up my, those who've been following the show. I've been eating things that increase bile. And so, rosemary, eggs that are free-ranged on pasture, not just free-range, because that's like a lie. That's like all natural ingredients when sugar's all natural, or high fructose corn syrup is all natural. Avoid those things. But there's a whole series of things, and I'll probably do a show on that before it's all said and done as well as showing. I'm going to show people. I'm going to do a series of shows sometime in the coming month. The next 4 days are going to be miserable. I'm going to take a walk today just because it's going to be so cold the next couple of days that I'm going to be like pretty much stuck in the house. Past couple of days I've been outside in the backyard doing crap. But I'm also going to buy some like ammonia or Clorox and stick it around a couple spots, holes where this frickin' rat from this neighborhood is getting in because they can't stand smells like that. And that stuff lingers for a while. And it's not supposed to rain today. And just try to put the fear of the Lord into this thing. But it's been working. You know, I saw a bug today, though, and I hadn't seen a bug in like 2 weeks. You know, so I have to spray. I guess I have to spray again on top of everything else. But, you know, I didn't go. It rained like a mother last night, and I didn't go up once into my attic. I'll go up after this show, and I'll have to, like, use my battery-powered siphon, you know, pump to fill a couple of buckets and dump them out the back window. But no big deal. You know, it's manageable. It's miserable, you know. And I get, you know, but, you know, screw it. Has to be done. You know, I've come to accept certain things. You know, the struggle of life. Some people have life, it's real miserable for them. I got a problem. I got to deal with trying to keep a rat out of my yard while I'm planting a garden. Eventually I'll succeed. It's like I did upstairs. Eventually I put enough sealant that it still rains in the attic, but the collection buckets, you know, capture it, and then I can get rid of it. And when the weather gets nice, I'll be able to take it to the next level, hopefully. And eventually I will have, you know, there will be no way for a rodent to get into my yard or mess with my garden, you know? Eventually there will be no way insects will be getting into, I will not be seeing insects, okay? You know, this is the thing, and that's like I say, it's you put the pebble in the urn until the water level rises to where you could get a drink. You know, you got to think that way. You know, you can't be impatient. You can't say, I want this, I want that, I need this, I need that. Take your time. In 6 months, it happens. It's like this diet I've been on to lose, you know, I took off like 10 pounds, and I've also, and worked against this where these doctors and surgeons 4 months ago, or 6 months ago, even longer, were saying, let's cut out your gallbladder. And I basically had to become my own researcher and stick to a diet and refine it to the point where actually the food I eat is good. So I'm eating very healthy, but I've got the right combinations down, and I'll share that too eventually. And that's I think where the show's going to head towards the spring. And then once the summer comes, I'll just be doing some garden videos and stuff like that. And whatever happens next year when the fit hits the shan, if the internet still exists. That's what I'm saying. This whole idea, I don't know what the heck Elon Musk is even thinking about, like Twitter. People think Twitter is, like, you know, these guys are trying to, Twitter's influential and it control. Influential to who? Right? It's only it's like TV, news. Once you cut the cord, it's not influential, right? I don't watch it. It's not influencing me. That's why people don't watch this show, because they can't, you know, they don't want to admit that they have addictions. They're addicted to Twitter, addicted to fucking network TV and shit. You know, I subscribe to network for 1 month if there's some movie I want to watch, and then you know what? I unsubscribe. I subscribed to HBO because I was watching some series that was on there. As soon as I binge watched it, I unsubscribed. Same with Apple TV Plus or whatever it's called. I was watching The Foundation or something weird like that. They did a shitty job of it. And then I unsubscribed. Right? Right now I have Paramount. I'm watching this Picard show, which they're doing a crappy job of that too. But when it's over, I'm going to unsubscribe. They better let me unsubscribe that one, because that's expensive. You know, in fact, I may unsubscribe before the end of the show because I want to make sure I don't want to get into this 19 where it rolls into the big deal. Anyway, have a great day. Happy Easter if you're celebrating Easter.
Good morning.
All that happy, whatever you want to call it. Visit my site, rockflux.com, and get my stuff. I think I explained on this show why these shirts, hats, hoodies, and all the other stuff you'll find, accessories, different wearables that you have to hit on the accessory part to find. All sizes, shapes. You saw great solar stuff. There's cool stuff there. You need it. The grid's going down one way or another. All right? And my last 2 books, Then What and Codex, out of the 10 books, get them and get the print versions. They're companions for this show. And listen to my beat poetry. Like I said, most of the songs are good. There's some crappy songs there. So what? I have 50 songs. Just skip the ones you don't like, but listen to the other ones. There's some things to be gleaned from them. Have a great day.